All right, everybody. Sorry for the short notice. I have William today, the self-proclaimed fintech kingmaker, which is going to be a fun conversation. Two devs getting coffee. I have my coffee right here, and let's chat tech. I'm gonna let William in. How you
Perfect.
doing, William?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Likewise. Where are you calling from, by the way?
I'm calling from the internet. That's where I live. Currently,
I like that one from the internet. You know,
currently, I probably don't know the year or the location, but somewhere on the East Coast.
I told my mother that I had 16,000 followers on the internet, and she called a therapist.
What
So,
does that mean? 16,000? That's just a number, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hear
People
you.
want to hear me
I got
yap
my
all day. I have no
I got my
idea.
tea. You forced me to get some tea, so I got this little teacup. But I'm
Yeah.
usually on the pills. So this is my caffeine. I got the caffeine mints.
Oh my
So
gosh, caffeine mints. Holy moly. I can't.
Neuromint, it's not a plug, but get it. It's so much better.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I drink yerba mate from
I believe
Argentina.
you. That sounds great. That sounds so much
It's
healthier than what I do.
it'll keep me up till midnight, but I'll be able to close my eyes and shut down. If I had coffee right now, I'd be dead tonight.
I love you.
Forget it.
That's
I'd be
great.
finished.
No, I mean I can't get to sleep, but it's mostly the paranoia, not the caffeine.
So talk to me, man. What is the fintech startup kingmaker?
Well,
I love the fact that you're a kingmaker. I feel like I'm gonna change the title of my agency to Red Corner
I love
Technology Kingmaker.
technology.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what I decided on LinkedIn? All you have to do is change your title. You change your title and that's what you are. Is that not true?
It is, isn't it? It's if you're unemployed, what's the joke? If you're unemployed, you're a philanthropist, Bitcoin enthusiast,
Of course.
blockchain
All
connoisseur.
right.
Oh,
How much
oh, oh,
how go ahead.
that's a good one. The good one is prompt engineer. I love that. I
Prompt engineer.
love,
No, it's
yeah.
AI whisperer. My marketing guy's an AI whisperer. How do you like that?
AI whisperer. Does he like does he whisper to no one in his basement? Is that
Oh, he's whispering to George. George Paul Thompson, ChatGPT. Are you kidding me?
Oh man. Yo, dude, ChatGPT is an interesting, I use it to write case studies. I use it to write blog articles. I'm like, you know what? I don't have time to write all of this.
You
Can you
don't.
just write something about this? And then I edit it, and I'm a better editor than I am a writer,
Of course. Everybody is.
right? Even though I'm writing a freaking book and it's going to be released very soon.
Good for you. Book
I'm
author. Who cares? Everyone's an author. I'm kidding. It's a
every
hard job to write a book. To sell the book is harder though. I
you
want to sell the
you
book and I want
you
to
know
buy it.
what? You don't you don't write a book to make money. Like the book is marketing material.
I
That
hear you.
is it.
I
That
hear you.
is all 100%. Somebody sees that you wrote a book, suddenly they assume you have half a brain. It's like back in the day, in the 90s, I'm like, obviously in the 90s, I was a child, but somebody once told me, it's like, if you're married, or I saw this in a movie, I think, if you're married and you're wearing a wedding ring, it tells other people that somebody can bear you. So I'm like,
I'm never
okay.
getting married. I'm never getting married. I'm just gonna. I don't know. I can't get into the personal life, but nobody can bear me, Oshri. Nobody. That's I just scared away a new client today. The person calls me up and says, "Hey, um, I want to buy your services," and I'm like, either like you have to start paying me cash right now. She's like, "Well, we're doing equity," and I was like, "No, yeah." I hung up on her, and then she's like, "Show me your past clients, give me references," and then I was like, "I don't give you references. Here's a webpage of 50 people saying that they love me. Like, what more do you need? This is the age of the internet. We don't do phone calls with past clients.
Oh
That's just not
man.
how it works."
William, come on. Equity is awesome. You can buy coffee with equity, but you can't wipe your behind with equity because it's worth less than toilet paper.
That's what I said to her. I said, "Hey, my credit cards are getting declined. Buy me lunch." She buys me lunch and she says, "You're welcome for the free lunch." I said, "Surely you know no lunch is free. You think I
Yeah.
haven't been working for 35 years to earn this fucking tea so that I can eat something and consume something? Are you kidding me?"
Seriously. Seriously. You know what? I I rail against startup land. all day long. I will rail against it because I don't believe in this whole equity concept in
But here's the
employee
thing. Here's
stock
the
options.
here's
Because I
the
don't
thing.
think most people deserve equity. I was CTO for a company, and you know what? I didn't deserve equity. What the hell did I do to deserve a piece of the company? And also, this equity thing is like, whoa, it's worth so much. It's only worth so much if there's a liquidity event.
Yeah.
How rare is that? That's
Here's the
that's
thing.
that's
I've made the
so
most
rare.
money in my life via equity, though. That's how I've made my money in this life.
Oh, interesting.
So,
Go on.
so it's tough. You just have to be the best. And to be the best, you have to use the best words. Kingmaker is the word for that shit. And I made my money in equity at Google. I made my money in
Okay, fair enough.
equity in some fintech startups in New York.
Mhm.
And I doubled my money in 3 years with 23andMe. The only cost was COVID, because of course you know how
What do you mean
23andMe.
20? What do you mean 23 and me?
You're familiar with the company.
Yeah, something about find out if like your genes or something.
Genetic sequencing.
Yeah.
I trusted that company because their building is right next to Google's building in Mountain View. They're
Okay,
the
that's
this
that's usually a pretty good identifier of trust, but sure. Okay.
Yeah, well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. Because the sister of, like, I forget if it was Sergey's wife or something. That was the one that started 23andMe, and then they
Okay.
sold it to the Chinese. Can I give you a little conspiracy theory here? Do you want to hear
Go.
it?
Go for it.
Well, I doubled my money because there
Let me
was a.
get my tinfoil hat. Hold on. Let me get my
All right, all
tinfoil
right, all
hat.
right. We got the. I doubled my money with the liquidity event. The liquidity event was a SPAC. You might not be familiar with a SPAC, but it's just some way of going public. And
Okay.
23andMe sold the company to the Chinese. All the
I don't.
DNA
I
of
feel
all
like
the
that shouldn't. Yeah, I feel like that shouldn't have been illegal. How's that
not illegal.
approved?
But then soon thereafter, we have this killer disease that kills all the Americans. And Oshri, how many people died in China? Can you tell me that?
I have no idea.
You have
I
no.
uh,
Great.
I did
Well,
not. I did not. I don't watch TV or read the news. So
no, it doesn't matter if you watch TV or read the news because the number is confidential.
okay.
Nobody knows how many people died in China. But
Uh,
I bet you it was a targeted disease for the Americans because they had all of our DNA. Is
could
that
be.
much of a conspiracy? I don't think it is.
It doesn't seem so far-fetched because the world is so weird right now,
So I made
and it's
fifteen
getting
thousand. I
weird.
made $15,000, and all I did was lose all the old weak people in America in exchange. But it is what it is. So I made money.
Yeah.
I made my money in equity, but I've also lost a bunch of money in equity, right? Like I invested in a 22-year-old crusher that's like so smart, and $10,000, and I sold it for $1. Um, and he's now raising more money, more millions and millions, and he lives a good life. He's
Yeah.
he's the rock star, but I'm shit out of luck because I was the first. I think they call that the fool in the family, friends, and fools. So I was the fool
Uh,
on that one. But you do have to take risks to make it happen. You do,
that is
and
true. How'd you make your money with Google? Did you work for them? Were you an
I was
employee
there. I
or?
was there 4 years. I was there 4 years.
Oh, what'd you do?
Made money, got bored, and left. Um,
No, but were you a developer? What'd you do there?
Yeah, I was a
Sales?
software engineer. I was a software engineer. Yeah, I
Oh,
got a
nice.
promotion. I did the whole thing. And I worked for Zagat. You're familiar with the restaurant curation app?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's had 50 lines of code. I joined, and then we launched it to a couple tens of thousands of users. So it was really interesting because you have $1 trillion company
Mhm.
building a startup. How many of the 60,000 engineers at Google do you know built a startup inside of Google? Not that many. I know
You
10.
know, it's very romantic, that idea, and I was romanced out of a CTO role that unfortunately I absolutely loved, but I hated my bosses. I despised their very physical existence,
Yeah.
right? They were racist AF. And I couldn't work for them. So I wasn't really romantic. I was trying to get out. I was trying to run out. So let's call it what it is.
But racist,
Um,
or just racist in general. I try and be agnostic on the politics. Everybody's a
no,
bad person in
yeah,
some way.
no. So no, they literally. I tell this all the time because I love the shock value that people are like, what? I was hiring people for the team. We needed more people, obviously, and they straight up came in and told me, no no N people are going to work at my company.
Wow. Wow. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's like harsh, because I'm
That's a
like,
big word. That's a big word.
it's a
Um,
big word. It's very direct. Like, it's a really, like, it's not even, they weren't even polite about it. They weren't
yeah,
polite racist. They were like, I'm gonna burn a cross on your lawn, racist.
that's a little.
Like,
That's a little much.
really, like, just, I am proud of it. And I'm like,
All right.
bro.
Well, I have a question for you. Were you the one that posted that Gen AI image of a ripped practical CTO? You were.
Yeah, yeah. That was a good one.
A little bit discriminatory in my hiring. Is that weird? When I hire, I want to hire beautiful people.
But you know what? There
Doesn't matter
is
if you're a man,
research.
doesn't matter if you're a woman,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But beautiful is good, because I think if you do one thing well, you do everything well. That's what I believe. You're a good looking man.
That, yeah.
You hit the
Oh,
gym.
thank you. No, I appreciate that. I'm not, I don't spray paint a shirt on me, and that is not me in any way, shape, or form, because I don't have chicken legs, but
Wow, look at you spray painting the shirt on. I hear you. But
just
no, I
because
have.
ChatGPT thinks, apparently, once you put a shirt on, you stay like this and you don't move, because
I hear
you
you.
can't.
Well, that's the problem with two dimensions and no movement in time. But I
Yeah.
have a lot of developers in Africa. Those are some of the best. I do the geography arbitrage. Is that the word you use for what you do? Do you have developers all over the world? Yeah.
I have developers all over the world.
Yeah.
So, I'm Israeli, and I'm in Canada. Most of my developers were in the Gaza Strip, so I can't really talk to them right now.
I saw your posts with the rockets. That's
Yeah, that's messed.
is your
That's messed up, and
is your
I'm like debugging some bullshit website.
I know, I hear you. Is your family safe?
uh, eh, Bunkers mostly, but it is what it is. That's war. That's what you're gonna do. Right?
It's crazy, man. I don't know.
It is. It is nuts. It's kind of nuts, and the world is all sorts of topsy
So I was in
turvy.
the so right now I'm in DC, and there's a lot of diverse opinions and a lot of like politics in DC. And I was talking with an Uber driver, and he said 95% of the people in the world are on Palestine's side. Is that true? What's your estimate?
I think so. So it's interesting, because I don't like this whole concept of sides. I
All
don't
right,
like this
that's fair.
concept of
That's fair.
sides,
That's fair.
because they have their grievances. Um, Everyone's got their grievances, and there's so many players involved in that
Yeah.
pitch show that is a region, right? There are
Yeah.
so many players, and everyone's got their fingers in it, and their reasons for being there, that
Yeah.
it just messed everything up.
I hear you.
But yeah, you know what? Most people will gravitate towards the underdog. That's the
Is that right?
reality.
All right.
That's what it seems like. That's what
All
it seems like, at
right.
least,
That's fair.
right? That's
Well, I
that's
guess
what we're seeing. It's like,
Ukraine's the
it's
underdog. Ukraine's also the underdog, I suppose. Interesting.
Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine is the underdog, and and there's still people that support Russia. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but they're the aggressor. But it
Yeah.
is what it is, right? That's
That's
just.
fair.
But let's
So
talk tech. Let's talk tech. What you do in Google? What you write at Google? What
I want to
you?
talk about. Can I bring up the idea that I wanted to talk about?
Yeah, go.
When I talk to recruiters, they say, "What's your stack?" I say,
Oh, fuck, I hate that.
"Yeah."
I
I
hate
say
that.
I know Python, OCaml, uh, LabVIEW, and
What's
MATLAB.
OCaml? What is that?
You know what Haskell is?
Yeah.
It's similar. It's a functional programming language with a little bit of object oriented and procedural. So OCaml is what Jane Street Capital uses. Are you familiar with that company?
No. I
Jane
have to
Street
Google
Capital is
this now.
the most successful prop trading fund in the world. They're a market maker. They're in New York. They do a lot of recruiting out of Pittsburgh because that's where they teach a lot of OCaml.
Okay.
And I interviewed there one time, and they said, "You failed the interview. We can't talk to you again for the rest of your life." And I said, "Whoa, that's a little
Whoa,
intense."
Google has told me that a few times,
No, they haven't.
and I
They
kept.
interview every 12 months. Every 12 months.
They don't. I. You know what? I tried enough times, and I'm like, nope. They don't. They don't appreciate what I bring to the table, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not, because you know what? like many develop, I can't spit out an algorithm top of mind. It's
Love it.
completely useless.
I love
You
that.
know?
So much fun. At least it wasn't a while ago. I've been an algorithm developer most of my career. I started out at Top Coder. You're familiar with them, the crowdsourcing
Yeah, yeah.
firm. I was the algorithm platform manager, so I constructed the contests for 100,000 developers to compete against, and I was
Nice.
with NASA and Harvard Medical and Pfizer, and we constructed the algorithm scoring mechanisms to make sure that the business goals of the company and organization was aligned with the algorithm being produced by these most intelligent people in the world. And it was wild. We were in Orlando in a
Mhm,
conference center, and we had what's called a marathon match, which was the algorithm competition for clients.
mhm.
And we had 6 guys sitting on stage competing for a $20,000 prize. And they're just all they have is a keyboard and a monitor, and they're typing.
Fantastic.
And I'm saying to myself, why is this not bigger than fucking NASCAR? Why are there not 1,000 people in the stands watching these geniuses solve the biggest problems in the world? Like, why is this not the biggest thing ever? And it was televised, it was live streamed, and all that bullshit. But like, these people are some of the smartest I've ever met in my life,
Can you
right?
get Kim Kardashian to
Yeah,
MC the event?
I hear you. I wish. I don't
I feel
know.
I feel like people need some stupidity to hook them.
I think there's some celebrities that are stupider than Kim Kardashian that I like a little bit more. But I mean, if you're gonna lose your fucking stud earring in the ocean, I don't know, man. Just like enough, enough. I don't want to hear it.
So you know what? How is it to work at Google? Like like what's the day to day like at Google? Because you know you work at the Fangs. It's not my assumption, and I've spoken to a few Google developers, ex Google developers. It doesn't really the experience doesn't really relate back to a smaller startup because they work so differently. Is it true? Like
I don't know
what
if I
is
agree
it
with
like
you.
to be at
I don't know if
Google?
I agree with you.
Okay, go
You've
on.
seen the movie The Internship, yeah?
Mm,
It's
okay.
exactly like that. It's exactly like that. I worked maybe 10 or 12 hours a week, and I made 400 grand, maybe 305. And I just made too much money. And for the most part, my managers loved me and thought I was just the shit, especially in Sunnyvale, because it wasn't even a political thing. I don't know if I'm just a genius. It's possible. I'm not sure. But the culture is
One second.
no, but
Go on.
there was a guy that I knew that lived in a box truck. You know what a box truck is?
Yeah.
He parked his car in the back of the parking lot. He slept there, and he did everything else at Google. But he was
Huh.
making the same amount as me. Are you kidding me? Stop it. I don't know. So the day,
How that's an obscene salary.
why
It
is
is
that
it's a
obscene? Why is that
it's
obscene?
an
I'm the
it,
best.
I mean there's so because I mean
I worked for
I
the
don't know.
best. How about that? How about that? Um,
Fair enough. Maybe you worked for like the right team,
it's
the
about the
right
right
manager,
guys. It's about the right guys. And
right?
you know,
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I sent this guy like a really nasty email. I said, I'm going to shut down your fucking Google account. That's what I said to the guy. And he got me in touch with the right guy. You know, he's just the best. He's just the best engineer I've ever met. And he's at YouTube now. But I sent him this nasty internet threat. And what he does is he sends me to my good friend who was like helping me out with my mental health stuff. And I was like, dude, you just know the right thing to say at the right moment all the time. But no, I'll tell you a story about my survival instincts because obviously I'm not doing a good job with the internet threats, right? Um, but I was in Iowa. Do you know what's in Iowa, Oshri?
Literally no idea. I mean, I'm a Montrealer, so
You have to give me
the only thing
one.
I know about the United States is New York for Broadway, and then Fort Lauderdale in Florida, where
That's
God's waiting room.
these are two my spot. These are my two
Yeah,
spots.
yeah. I fly down. I spend a couple of a week or two in a condo of my in-laws' grandparents, and
God's
I
waiting
fly
room.
back.
Love
Yeah,
that.
God's waiting room. You go there to be born and to die, and everything in between you move elsewhere.
I was just in Fort Lauderdale 2 weeks ago. But in Iowa, there's two things. Corn. Are you familiar with that concept?
Yeah, for sure.
There's Corn and the most advanced computing center in the universe.
Iowa.
Iowa, Council
Is it
Bluffs.
because their electricity is so cheap?
That's exactly why. Very good.
Oh,
Here, a
makes
quick
sense.
study.
Makes sense.
That's the only reason. You build your data centers next to the power plants.
Yeah.
And there's one in the Dalles in Oregon, and that's right next to the water power, right?
Right. Hydro. Yeah.
Hydropower, yeah.
Yeah.
But Iowa's
in
cheaper.
my
Iowa's cheaper and lets you do more of the compute. That's where the new stuff is. That's where the Teslas are. That's where the GPUs are. You know what a Tesla is?
yeah.
So maybe just So it's just a GPU from NVIDIA, right? I talk to people about computers and I'm like, the best one is the Tesla, and they're like, oh, the car, cool, yeah. I'm like,
No. Yeah,
you're
I know what you're talking about.
so
I was just listening to a podcast with the CEO of NVIDIA.
yeah,
I have great respect for the guy.
of
I have
course
great respect. He is
my
very smart and understated.
he's got to be. My boss is my SVP hired his boss from NVIDIA, I believe. Urs Hazel. And let me get back to my story at the fucking data center, man. So it's the cheapest electricity there is. And I don't think you know how big this place is. I don't have to get into this part, but the only time I felt that kind of scale was in Auschwitz too.
Holy, that's a serious scale.
It's serious scale. It's football fields. It's football fields, sir. It's football fields.
One building
stacked on top of each other. Football field on football field. You need a scooter. You need a bicycle. You need a bicycle to get to the next
to traverse the data center
to do your repairs.
And it's not and it's not like multiple buildings. It's like one contiguous building.
It depends. There's multiple buildings.
Okay.
But the thing is, you can't even find this place. You have to literally go there because Google controls the satellites.
Yeah, of course.
And
yeah, but you can do that. You can submit to Google and ask them to block out your house, and they'll blow out your house. One of my bosses did that, and because one of the first things you do is you're like, where you live. Let's go take
the most important building in the world potentially looks like a construction site.
Interesting.
Which
is it?
The data center.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. And also they don't advertise it. It's not like it's Facebook lane, right? They don't advertise right here to the data center because there's enough quacks out there in the world.
To get into the CCNR, which is the Central Campus Network room, I get an iris scan.
An iris scan? That's some Tom Cruise business there.
Yeah, this was in 2014, 2013.
Wow.
So let me tell you about my survival instincts. I'm in the data center repairing some machines. I'm scootering from one to the other, and off goes the fire alarm. So what do you do when the fire alarm goes off?
You git commit, you git push, and you get out.
No, I don't even do that shit. When the fire alarm goes off, I just walk out of the building. So I walk out of the building. I leave the machine there. It's in the middle of the repair. Don't care. You think my life is worth less than my job at Google?
No, of course not. Honestly.
I don't care. I'm out of the building. I walk out of the building and two guys are coming in from their smoke break. I say, hey guys, where's the meetup point? I'm new to this office. Where do we go when there's a fire alarm? And they say, hey buddy, you're an idiot. That's a tornado alarm. Get your ass back inside.
Oh my gosh. Is the tornado alarm any different than a fire alarm?
Apparently it is, but I don't know the fucking difference. I've never been in a place where there's a goddamn tornado alarm. Are you kidding me? So we go back.
Tornado alleys. It's so weird that people actually live in those areas and haven't left. It's their homes. They live there generations. But
they hire the hamburger flippers to fix the machines because it's so low skill because of guys like me. I make it low skill so you can have this thing in Iowa. You have the hamburger flippers, and they sit in the meeting room in the center of the data center, concrete bunker. I did my work for 3 hours in this concrete bunker, and I couldn't leave. It was prison until the tornado was gone.
And I have a feeling that the data center would probably be able to survive a tornado.
Yeah, exactly. It could.
It's like it's got to be built like a bunker. It has to.
It
be.
is.
I mean,
it is absolutely.
Yeah, especially if it's going to be in Iowa. Jeez.
yeah, for sure. So let me get back to my main point, or the point with the languages. So I told you the like 4 or 5 languages that I know, and what do you know about those languages?
Nothing. I'm on OCaml, an industrial strength function. Industrial strength.
Industrial strength.
What the heck does that mean? An industrial strength programming? Does it run on?
OCaml is my favorite language. It's my favorite one because it's the most beautiful. If you write in that shit, it's just the most beautiful language there is.
But what makes it industrial strength? Does it run on firmware? I mean, like, what's an industrial strength?
Industrial strength means it's perfect. I don't know. Okay. It's like it's so precise. It's so precise, and it just makes so much sense. You have to be extra intelligent to understand OCaml. I don't think that's actually. It's just like uncommon, and nobody uses it.
So what is its purpose? Because every language has its purpose, right? Like what would I normally build with OCaml? And what is the thought? Because people are listening to this, right?
Numbers and math and algorithms. It doesn't have a purpose beyond that.
Is this for production grade? Does this compile to binary and then I can use it in a different language?
It's a production grade. It's compiled to machine code, and it's primarily only used for financial services for Jane Street. It's for education in
interesting.
Is it Carnegie Mellon? I think it's Carnegie Mellon. And finance. It's just like the perfect algorithm language, and that's what's sexy to me. So anyway, the 5 languages I listed, the thing that I think about them is they're fundamentally different paradigms. They're just different paradigms. If you say you know how to write Java, and I say, hey, here, write me some C#.net, you say, okay, great. Like I changed a couple of these little syntax things, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
But if I say, learn MATLAB, now write me some LabVIEW, you say, shove it up your ass. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You know what LabVIEW is, yeah?
Yeah.
They're just completely different languages.
Yeah.
And I've just learned every language in my life. Like
so okay, so fine. So this runs at hardware speeds because there's no virtualization. I'm guessing there's barely any garbage collection and whatnot.
OCaml, I'm not an expert on it. I interviewed at Jane Street, but I haven't written like a lot of production level because I follow the money. And if I was hired at Jane Street, I'd be an expert at OCaml, but I wasn't. I didn't get that job. So I write a lot of Python because Python is where the startup money is. And Python
is good.
The way I think about it is Python is a very writable language. You can write a lot of code. You can write a lot of shitty code. You can write a lot of good code. You can write a lot of code in Python.
But you know what? You know what the problem with Python is? It's a really, really, really bad development experience.
No, it's not though. Because I write MVPs. So? I write minimum viable products. My guys are writing from 0 lines. And
for MVP, 100%, you shove in some Django, you have an admin, you have got this, you've got that. Very nice and quick.
Flask is better than Django. But regardless. But my point is, at Google, I wrote a lot of Python and C++. But then when I moved teams, we moved to Golang. What is Golang good at? Can you tell me that?
Parallel.
It's not. It's fine at that. That's kind of where the name comes from. Go processes and stuff.
Yeah, Func and all that. Yeah. I've written enough Golang in my life. Yeah.
But there's not that many times when you have to do serious, intelligent parallel processing. There's just not that many times. So I'm going to tell you what Golang.
It's a limited use case. But you know what? I came from the .NET world.
Yeah.
Then I picked up and I find .NET is a beautiful language. .NET
Yeah.
Core is a just beautiful language.
Yeah.
Very, very performant. Microsoft knows their stuff, right? And constantly evolving it with a lot of and whatnot. But Golang stole my heart. I mean, it's just the ability to spin up
Google is
so
just
quickly.
better at technology. Google is just the best technology company
Yeah.
in the world. It's just the best because
Yeah.
they hire the best and they treat them the best. And when I look
Yeah.
around at Google, everybody's a fucking lifer. Every single one of them. They're all lifers.
Interesting.
Because
What's the average tenure of a developer at Google? You would say
the guys that I knew were all 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years. I've never worked at any company where anyone was even remotely close to 5 years.
I hear you. That's why I had to leave after 4, because I said if I don't, I'm going to be a lifer and I'm not going to be a Google lifer. I don't like these people. I liked them. They were friendly and nice and great at their jobs. But when I learned stuff at Google, I said, I don't want to learn the Google stack. I don't want to learn Borg. Do you know Borg?
No,
Do you know Pickle?
I've heard of it, I think.
You've heard of these things?
I've heard of Pickle, yeah.
I
put that in my burger, yeah.
Google configuration language. I was like, I don't want to learn these things. Because when I leave Google,
it's useless to you.
It's useless.
Yeah.
And the people there get so wrapped up in these things. But the thing is, Google sets the standard because Borg became Kubernetes 10 years later.
Interesting.
So let me get back to Golang. So Golang,
I really like Kubernetes, by the way, but go on.
Of course you do, because Google made it. So
fantastic.
And you love Golang. And let me tell you the answer to my question. What Golang is the opposite of Python. Python is a writable language. And what's the opposite of writing?
Yeah, reading.
Golang is a readable language. Because when you're an engineer at Google, you don't spend your time writing code. You understand this? You don't spend your time writing code.
Obviously.
You spend your time reading code.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I
code because it's ugly. That's why I do minimum viable products.
Yeah. In my business, fractional CTO, I come into companies and I see the kind of shit that developers will create and will do without any supervision. Not supervision because they don't know what they're doing, is because it's just, you get on a path and you continue that down that path until there's someone that comes in and waves a flag and says, whoa, what are you doing? Right?
Yep.
And the one thing I tell them is your code should be hard to write and easy to read. Because if you make it easy, if you make it easy to write, you're going to fall into the super object-oriented OOP development model, inheritance of this, inheritance of that, interfaces. You want it to be as easy as possible to read, but make it. I don't care if you have to repeat code. Fuck it, repeat code.
Repeating code. Don't repeat yourself. I hate that shit. That's the worst. Golang is very good at repeating yourself.
Yes,
and letting you repeat yourself in are they interfaces? Is that what they're called? No, they're called
Are they? I think they're called interfaces on.
Is it interfaces? Because they don't have objects and inheritance. They just have the interfaces and it's not interface. It's another word. It starts with an IN, but I forget what it is. So let me just introduce a new concept for you. We talked about the 5 or 6 languages that are just like completely different paradigms. Do you know what the next language is, sir? Do you know the next big language?
No, which one?
Can I tell you? It's English.
Yeah,
is English your first language?
No, Hebrew, French, and then English. I learned English only as an adult.
You're at a disadvantage. Because if you can talk to ChatGPT, you don't know how much the software engineers are just going to disappear. They're just going to disappear because you're just going to type into ChatGPT, build me an app that does this. Integrate Stripe with this thing, integrate Stripe with Plaid, with X, with Y, and just fucking do it. And you have to be specific, purposeful, efficacious. You have to do all these things.
Fantastic for MVPs.
Exactly.
Not for
legacy
constant
systems.
active development.
Legacy
fantastic
systems?
for MVPs.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Copilot do you have? How much Copilot have you written? You think we can't train a new model on the code base and then ask it to make modifications? You think that's not what's coming?
You can make modifications, yes, but you cannot refactor, which
Why
is what
not?
a lot of developers
Why can't a
do.
computer
Because
refactor?
you know what?
How many pull requests of refactors exist on the internet? How many? Millions?
Yes, assuming the pull requests are structured properly so that the machine can actually learn from it.
That's fine.
But most people do not.
How about this?
refactor,
Do you
not create
contribute to
proper pull
Copilot?
requests.
Do you contribute to Copilot?
Probably because I use GitHub and I probably click some sort of terms
You
and
have to.
conditions that said
You had,
so.
no, you had to opt in.
Oh,
I contribute to Copilot because I want everybody to write code like me. If everybody writes code like me, I'll fucking understand it.
fair enough.
So I
I can
want to
accept that.
But
But I'll give you an example, right? So your run of the mill developers will not get replaced, but we will need a lot less developers at some point.
yeah,
We're just not there yet. We'll be there maybe in 5, maybe in 10 years when AI can actually AI. I hate that term because it's not AI, it's a fucking tape recorder. It's an LLM. That's all it is, right? So when that technology is sufficiently advanced, and I use it all the time. I use Copilot, I use ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, write me a function to do this really quickly. Because you know what? I know I need to do something. I know I can write it if I Googled enough to find the information to do it, or I ask it to do it. So,
or you ask ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT, explain the word yield to me. You know what the word yield means in Python, yeah?
yeah.
I read a 2-paragraph explanation. It was better than any human has ever written for me.
Actually, you know what I do?
Any
you know what I
blog
do
post I've ever seen, and I've used the word yield many times. I have a pretty deep understanding, but it gave me a concise, perfect formulation of what the yield keyword does.
So
It's the best
you wanna,
teacher. It's better than you. It's a better teacher.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Yes, it's definitely a better teacher. You know what I like to do with ChatGPT when I'm for explanations, and I'm gonna type that in later on. I'm gonna try it out. Explain yield using in the style of Dr. Seuss.
Why? Why are people being
because
silly?
it,
Why are you
because
silly?
because it's fun. That's why.
All right.
Because it's fun.
Have
And I'm like, oh my
fun.
gosh, this is hilarious. And it is hilarious because you know what? It makes a point. And at some point I was experimenting with this concept where I would scrape technical documentation that is boring. It kills me how boring technical documentation is. You ever try to read SQL Alchemy's documentation? You want to,
Learn it from
jump in
ChatGPT.
front of it.
I find
Yeah,
ChatGPT.
that's it. That's what you do now because I can't actually read this document. It's so dry.
I understand.
So at some point,
Well,
I wrote a small script. Check this out. I wrote a small script that scraped the Django documentation.
Yeah.
Fed it to ChatGPT via the OpenAI APIs.
Of course.
Right. And rewrote it in Dr. Seuss style.
Love that.
And it actually made it fun to read.
That's cool. I like it. Yeah, I was at Money 2020 in Vegas. I had the most productive week of my life in Vegas. The most productive week. How is that possible? Does anybody go to Vegas and say it's productive? I don't know.
Conferences. I'm going to SAS North in Ontario.
Right.
I'm going to be at Vive in Los Angeles in February.
That. So I met these guys writing poems. They were just writing poems at the conference. And I said, hey, my girlfriend's back home. Write me a poem for a long distance, star-crossed lovers that are torn apart by whatever. And they wrote me a poem. And I loved the poem. The poem was great. I have it. I can go grab it. And then I said, I'm going to ask Claude for a poem. I'm going to ask Claude for. You know what Claude is?
Yeah, it's the French one. It's from Anthropic. Yeah.
So we got this poem from the poet, and it ends so beautifully. It says, "Because you were the only light I know." And then I got this poem, and I made it from Claude, and we typed them both up. And I liked the human significantly better. Well, not significantly. I gave her an 8, and I gave Claude a 7. But then I gave it to my girlfriend, and my girlfriend said that Claude was a 9 and the human was a 6.
Interesting.
And I said, you failed because I wasn't the audience of this poem. My girlfriend was, and she couldn't even tell the
Hmm.
difference. She said that the computer gave her more hope.
Hmm.
How beautiful is that? That the computer's giving hope? Like
So
this is a wild world we're living in. This
it is.
AI is
It's
so
yes.
advanced.
It is. I have a feeling though that all of the everything that we've done with LLMs so far, because they're so big, because they're so heavy, they require so much processing power. At some point, someone's coming out with a better technology, a better structure, a
It's always
better
cheaper, faster, better.
and
It's
and
always
all of the investment that we put into LLMs so far.
no,
eh,
no, no. Don't give me that. I mean,
no, you
you
don't think so?
invest in it in order to get to the next level. We wouldn't have the cheaper, faster, better unless we had the LLM. Period.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I'll tell you something about LLMs and Copilot and all of those, and for all the people that think that AI or whatever you want to call it, AI is going to replace developers. Um, First of all, it's not going to replace developers in an absolute way. That's not possible.
Of course
That's
not.
never gonna. It's never gonna happen.
But you have
Will
to
it reduce the amount of developers you need because they're more productive? Maybe by 20, 30% tops. Tops. It's going to improve. So you might be able to reduce your headcount by 20, 30, maybe 40%. But humans can only produce so much so quickly. That's number one. Number two, AI is a force multiplier. Okay. If you're an idiot, it's going to force multiply your stupidity. If you're smart and you know what the hell you're talking about, if you're an algorithms guy and you know what the information should be because you can actually read it and say that makes sense, it will force multiply your intelligence and your smartness and whatever it is. That's the key. And
I agree with that. Somebody was telling me that they introduced a new friend to ChatGPT, a CEO of a company that thought he was so smart, and he just keeps asking questions in the same thread. I don't know if you've ever done this. I've never done this because I'm not that stupid. But he asked questions about like 1980s video games, and he's like talking about this esoteric lore of this stupid
yeah,
video. And then he starts asking questions about investments. And ChatGPT starts making analogies to this fucking lore of this video game. And it's like, if you teach it something and then you keep it in the same thread, it's going to spit back your own bullshit. So if you're
yeah,
stupid, it's going to spit back your bullshit because it's going to give you the answer that you want to hear.
exactly. Yes. No, you got to start a new thread every time.
But it's not, it's even more than that. You have to be able to predict the future because you don't know when it's hallucinating or not. You have to know the answer before you ask the question.
You have to be smart enough to know that the information coming out is it can be validated by you. It is a tool at the end of the day. That's it. It is actually not intelligent in any way, shape, or form. It's not even artificially intelligent. It's a glorified tape recorder that's really, really, really good.
What do you mean by tape recorder? I don't know if I agree with tape recorder. What do you mean by tape recorder?
It's recorded every word coming and or every token in
Yeah.
relation to another token. It's been labeled by tens of thousands of employees all around the world. That information has been labeled and it spits it back at you. That's it. It's
Well,
a tape recorder.
synthesizes, predicts, and spits it back. It's a little
Yeah,
bit more than a tape recorder because
fine. It's a tape recorder with live dubbing. Call it whatever you want to call it.
live with live dubbing. That's interesting. I like that.
You
Um,
know, but that's
I don't
what
know.
it is. It's not really intelligent. I
There's
ask it to write. I'm writing a case study right now for my website,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So yes. So I gave it. Here's the client. Here's the problem. Here's the state. Here's the solution. Here's the impact that my company had on the client.
yeah,
It spits something out. It's dry. It has no emotion. It has no. There's no soul in it.
yeah.
I happen to be a good writer, but
Of
that's
course,
I think at least
humbly, yes.
you know.
Well, at this point, we're storytellers. I think we're all storytellers. Let me ask you this
Yeah,
question:
that's true.
Do you live? Are you financially free?
Depends on the quarter.
Do you work?
I work. Yes, I have a
I don't think
job.
I,
I have a
I don't think
business.
I work
That's what I
anymore.
do.
I don't think I work anymore.
No.
I think I'm just retired because I love doing this. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not working right now, and
You know what? I love my job. I love being a fractional CTO so much that it is not work. I've handled 5 clients simultaneously. That's
yeah,
2 hours a day every single
yeah,
day. So 10 hours on, like on. There
yeah,
is
yeah.
no breaks. On. I did that for 6 months. It was hard work. My brain was like
I
warm
love
to
that.
the touch. My head was warm to the touch.
I
I
believe
made
it.
a shit ton of money.
Love it.
However, um, I didn't feel tired. I loved it.
I
And
love that.
you know what's awesome about being a fractional CTO?
Tell me.
You don't get invited to bullshit meetings.
I don't get invited to meetings at all. I built a minimum viable product for $16,000. The competitor said it was 87. I didn't take a
Yeah.
single meeting. Not a single meeting in 6 months. Not one meeting.
No, but what I'm saying is
I believe you.
the
There's no
alt- the
bullshit meetings.
alternative is
They
the
can't afford it.
alternative
Can't
is
afford it.
so the alternative is being a CTO full time, right?
Yeah.
And you get invited to every meeting under the sun because for whatever reason they think that you need to actually be there,
Yeah.
right? And
Well, I want to get back
so
to my point. You work a little bit, but you love your work. I believe we live in a post-apocalyptic world. Do you believe that?
I believe the opening shots of World War III were fired about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, something like that.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. However, what I mean by post-apocalyptic is I worked at Google in 2013.
Mhm.
I knew what the open source community had access to because that's what I was doing. I was
Mm.
using these machine learning tools. I was using these image processing tools. I built Snapchat. I
Yeah.
built I built a selfie filter before Snapchat existed. I built what's called myelfieselfie.com. It
Mm.
put elf ears and an elf hat on your head on any
Mm.
selfie that existed. I did that in 2013, 2012 maybe.
Was that around the same time where you could feed a website to there's this one website you could feed it a link and it would rewrite the website in what's this rapper? The rapper that smokes weed a lot. What's his name?
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg.
I
In
love Snoop
Snoop
Dogg.
Dogg. Yeah, and it would rewrite the whole thing it would Snoop
Snoop
Dogg
Dogg.
all the content.
I don't know.
And it was hilarious.
I'm not familiar with that one. But let me get back to the post-apocalyptic thing. So I knew what the open source community had to offer because I
Mhm.
worked as a software engineer outside of Google. I got into Google. I spent 4 years diving deep into the intelligence of Google and understanding what technology existed inside of this little silo, inside of this special club of the smartest engineers in the world. And I said,
Mm.
holy shit. But I've left. And I know that the technology inside of Google is about 10 years ahead of the game. It's about 10 years. 10 years is,
I'm sure they've got a version of Kubernetes that is way beyond. They haven't released it yet.
yeah, no, it's just a bigger scale. It's called Borg. It's just the same thing. But
Okay.
but but Borg existed before that and they had to productize it and externalize it.
Mm.
So right now, who's winning the AI game? Who's got the best AI out there as far as an LLM?
Yeah, you can say OpenAI, I'm guessing. Well, I hear the Chinese have a much bigger one, but it's not been
OpenAI is
productized.
Microsoft, right?
Sorry?
OpenAI is Microsoft, right?
It is now. Yeah, they bought into it. Yeah.
Okay. So Microsoft's ahead of the game. But Microsoft is not a better technology company, not as far as I know. Not that I know about. But what I know about Google is Google's a bad marketer.
Microsoft is better at productizing their technology and making money off of it.
That's definitely true. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
But my point is Google's Bard or whatever Google's most advanced stuff is going to be 100 times ahead. It's 10 years ahead because I'm sure they're 10 years ahead and maybe even 15 at this point. But when I ask a question to ChatGPT and I see the answer and I say, holy shit, this thing is significantly smarter than me. This thing is significantly smarter than any human that's ever
Mm-hmm.
existed.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the
Mm-hmm.
Turing test. We've passed the Turing test. ChatGPT passed the Turing test.
We're well past the Turing test at this point.
Years ago. So
Yeah.
if Google's 15 years ahead of that, do you know how easy it would be for one person at the top, Larry Page or whoever, to just exterminate all humans, to just exterminate them all? Do you know how easy that would be?
That's a tough one, but you know what? It is actually, yeah, they could. They
They
could.
could.
They
It
could.
would be, it would
They
be
could.
so
That's
easy.
what you know what? I made a post about this today. It didn't get a lot of traction because I didn't put a jacked up CTO with a sprayed on t-shirt on it. I should just use that as all my posts.
Every single one. Every single one.
Look at this guy. This guy has man pecs.
Love
like
it. That was
you know.
sexy.
That was a sexy photo. I
It
mean,
was.
come on, ChatGPT. It was right. It was like, I mean, the guy with chicken legs. I mean, like,
I think
do a squat.
I think they took a photo of you, and I think you just like asked for an artist render. That's what it was.
I don't know. I don't think you can do that, can it? Because I will totally.
There are other ones that do. There are other ones that do. They're like the avatar ones. No, you just took an
avatar. And
Good.
I appreciate that. First of all, secondly, what did I want to say? I lost my train of thought.
So my point is, if one person or the people in charge could take the technology that exists today and just exterminate everybody, but the population of the earth is still increasing and doing better and better, like I believe that the standard of living is higher for the average person, for the bottom person, for everyone in the world. And the fact that the population is increasing, it just means we're in a post-apocalyptic world. I've been terrified of Terminator my entire life. I've been in the mental ward for thinking that the Terminator was coming for me, right? But now I've decided the Terminator has come and gone. And the people in charge have decided that they're not going to kill us all. So that's why I say I live in a post-apocalyptic world. And I'm just like, I've faced death enough that I'm just grateful to be here. I'm doing what I want. I'm just grateful to be here. And I make a little bit of money. I help a couple people. And what more can I ask for?
I would agree with you on that one. I would agree with you on that one. In my job is so in my fractional CTO business, my job is actually to get fired. That's my job.
Absolutely. That's what I do.
My job is to get fired. I come in, I level everybody up to the point where they do not need a tech leader anymore.
The way I think about that, I think using negative language like that doesn't make sense. Here's what I would say. I say that the most value comes from the introduction. As soon as I discover you, I get to discover your life's work. And I work with you, I get a little bit of personal advice, and then you fucking move on. And maybe you stay on forever and give me like an hour every couple months to like keep me on the right track and to keep you maintained to my philosophy. But people that are startup engineers at places and they get a 1-year cliff, it's like you're getting my knowledge, my lifelong intelligence in the first month. Why do I have to wait a year for equity? That's wild. That's crazy.
Because so I've been advising my clients to do a 2-year cliff, not a 1-year cliff.
Ooh, wow.
2-year cliff at 50% though. At 50%.
All right, how about this? What's your cliff?
You're
not even taking equity.
Oh, I have 100% equity in my business.
In your business. Business.
My business is I kill what I eat, right? I have employees, I have this, I have that, I have marketers and so on and so forth. Yeah, so I have a going concern. But so here's what I wanted to say. I remember before I lost my train of thought. I made a post about the possibility that governments would nationalize AI models. And I think that's going to happen sooner rather than later. It's going to get so big, the national reserves, whatever it is going to walk into OpenAI's office and it's like, we own this now. And there's nothing you can do about it because it's so big, it's so powerful. And then somebody said, well, do you trust governments? I'm like, you know what? I don't trust governments and I don't trust corporations, but at least governments are somewhat voted in. I mean, I know it's cute, right?
Yeah.
A government that you can trust, but still, that's the reality. It's going to get nationalized.
Yeah.
They will do it 100%. Something comes out strong enough, powerful enough. That's it. And I don't know how you even measure the power of an LLM, right? Or the power of an AI model.
You don't.
But, that's it.
I mean, you just measure by
fun conversation, William. I'm happy we did this.
I have to get you one more thing before on that topic. I'm trying to find George Hotz's open AI. It's called TinyGrad. Have you heard of TinyGrad?
No. Tiny Grant?
Let me just make sure I got it.
What is that, TinyGrad?
tinygrad, grad.org. It's the
Oh, that's cool. Okay, yeah, I see.
yeah. So this is if like these are who the governments are competing against, because George Hotz is a fucking crazy libertarian
Mhm.
rogue agent. That's what I think he is. And
Okay, I
he's
like that.
he's building a tensor AI framework that's open
Mhm.
source that can be used by anybody.
I mean, but you've got TensorFlow. Anyone can do it.
George is smarter than TensorFlow.
You think so?
Seemingly. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't played around with tinygrad yet, but I'm just confident that this guy knows what he's doing. And this seems lower level than TensorFlow. TensorFlow is a game of meta-parameter optimization. That's what TensorFlow is. It's just a little game. You like change these different things and you like do a little bit of stuff, and it's like, how do I optimize this shape of this neural network to give me what I want? And
Interesting approach.
and I think that's what TensorFlow is. Is that not your experience?
I tried playing with it, and my laptop died because I did something. I'm trying to play around. I'm trying to play around with building models, but right now it still requires far too much.
You don't need big data. Stop it with the big data. Big data was
no, not the data, not data. No, not data. But
you don't need that much stuff. You need small data that's important. You need the smart stuff.
100%. I agree. But
I beat the bad gamblers on DraftKings. You're familiar with FanDuel and DraftKings?
Yeah.
I beat them at baseball. Daily fantasy, I beat them with an algorithm using TensorFlow. Every day.
Interesting. I find TensorFlow a pain in the ass to write.
Pain in the ass. That's what work is, sir. Work is a pain in the ass.
It's a pain in the ass to write. It's even harder to read. It's insanely hard to read once you've written it.
Very difficult technology.
We haven't evolved that part yet. I think AI is still a toddler. Wearing a diaper, hasn't learned how to
It's always a
walk
toddler.
yet.
It was a toddler in the 70s, the AI winter. Are you kidding me? It's always a toddler.
I don't know.
But it's always able to do what we need. We need to earn some money. We need a fucking smoothie for lunch. I need a smoothie. I haven't eaten all day. All I've been drinking is tea with this man who forced me to make a hot beverage. I hate that. But I came here for you.
Yeah, I finished my tea. I'm done.
I'm done with mine. And here's my pitch.
Yeah.
Fintech startup Kingmaker. I work for fintechs. I work for hedge funds. I write software. And the thing that I'm looking at right now is a thing that we're doing tap pay. So you have a cell phone, you're a restaurant, you're a food truck, you're a farmer's market attendee, you're a taxi cab, you're a salon. You have a cell phone and you're charging me money. I have a credit card. I tap my credit card to your cell phone and the transaction is complete.
Isn't that a beautiful thing?
It's a revolution.
How does that differ from Square? Because Square can do that.
It is Square. You know what it's called? It's called Square without the square.
Interesting. Okay, so you have to have some sort of NFC on the phone. No,
and on the card. Yeah, so the phone has to be made in the last 5 years, and the card has to be made in the last 15 years. Yeah.
Okay, so that
could work. We're looking for some money, and we're looking for some customers. And in the meantime, I'm trying to work for some other folks for cash to build your MVP. And my little sign off on my podcast is you might not like this, but don't subscribe, stop listening to me, and go build your fucking company.
I like that. Just do it. Who's this guy? It's an actor. He got very famous for yelling at people to just do it.
Gary V. Maybe?
No, not Gary V. No.
Oh, I know Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, LaBeouf. Yeah,
LaBeouf.
In French, I think his last name is French. So LaBeouf, the beef.
He's got some problems. He's got some personal problems. But you know what I believe? You can't be successful. You can't be successful without a lot of personal problems. That's what I think.
Okay, so last question, and then I have to go because then I've got a client.
I want your pitch. Give me your pitch, Oshri.
My pitch. I come into your company as a fractional CTO. I leave 6 months later. You don't need a full-time CTO for the next 4 years.
Love that.
That's it.
How many employees? How many employees at the company, sir?
At my client's company, typically from 0 to 50.
Okay. All right. I like
Because
that.
you need engineering managers, you need some principal engineers, you need a whole bunch of people, smart people, architects,
Understood.
whatever it is,
Understood.
product people. You don't need the guy at the top. Because what happens with a full-time CTO at the end of the day? What does he do? Once they architected, they built a team. What the hell do they do? They keep the fun part. They do some data modeling. What do they do?
They gotta get to the gym like you. What's your last question for me?
What was the last question?
I don't know.
You know what, man? I'm losing my train of thought today. It's been a long day. You're my 15th meeting today.
You need some more coffee. I don't take meetings. That's why I'm so on the ball all the time.
Yeah, eventually maybe it'll be like that. I'm growing my practice, and I'm trying to reach as many people as possible, startups as well. I created this pricing model for startups, $3,000 a month.
Okay.
And they get access to me. They get 1 meeting a week.
Love it.
And they get access to me in real time and to my people on Slack.
Okay.
Slack, email, whatever it is. That's it. I make sure you don't make stupid decisions.
I'm not charging enough. Based on this conversation, I have to be charging $6,000 a month.
Yeah, but you know what? I believe that price follows how busy you are. So as soon as I sign enough clients, and if they're all saying yes, not a problem, and they don't give me much objections, yeah, sure, I'll raise the price. You know, my fractional CTO, my fee to have me on your team, I'm the principal, right? To have me on your team, that's $25K a month.
I love it.
That's 20. That's 25. However, here's the fun part. This is my pitch. This is my red corner pitch.
You only get 15 seconds, man.
No. I get this is my podcast. I can do it.
It's your podcast. You know what? We need to have you on mine. I'm going to kick you off.
This is my pitch, right? I don't believe that there's any living human on the planet that knows everything about technology.
Of course,
you would agree.
Of course.
So, how can you hire a CTO and assume they know everything? They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. They only know what they know. My fractional CTOs come into your company. One individual comes into your company with 200 years of experience. Yeah. How's that possible?
ChatGPT?
No. Oh God. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. No. That's called CTO GPT, and every question is answered with "it depends." So no, it's because we operate as a team.
Of course.
We got all professional CTOs
of course,
figuring out the problem together.
I love that.
Right? That's it. Everyone working together.
All right. So when are you gonna hire me?
I'll send you a sign up sheet, but you have to have been a CTO by name at the very least, by title. So
what? You don't think I am?
I have no idea.
Have you ever searched fractional CTO on Google?
Oh,
at one point I was number 2.
Oh, interesting. All right, that's a different ballgame then. So then if that's a different ballgame. But yeah, I'll send it to you. Not a problem.
All right, sounds good.
All right, William.
Oshri,
that was awesome. We should do this again. I feel like this is like the Joe Rogan experience type of podcast.
I love it.
Let's connect again. Let's do another one of these. And
Joe Rogan is what the people want, is it not?
It is.
Everyone loves
you know what? The one thing I can't stand is boring podcast. No, man. Like this was fun. This was a hoot.
You know what? You didn't work. You didn't work for this hour. You didn't even work. You know the word that I get most is just interesting. Everybody says I'm interesting.
So I was doing the 2 devs getting coffee for a while, and then I stopped because I got too busy, right? Yeah. And then I got lonely. Yes, I've got employees, but I'm still like, I work from home. I've married, I have kids and everything, and all of that. But I got lonely. Like there's no other tech person to talk to, right?
We should talk some more. You're a top voice on LinkedIn. I need it. I'm smarter than you. I should be the top fucking voice.
First of all,
give it to me. Just
first of all, that top voice is bullshit. First of all, that top voice is bullshit. It's bullshit. I answered an LLM generated article that was written by basically a teenager. And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, okay, let me answer this completely obvious question. Should I light myself on fire? No, you should not light yourself on fire. Top voice of fire safety.
Love it.
What the hell is this? What kind of garbage is that, LinkedIn? You know, that's
hey, you've seen the post about the Forbes people. You got what's her name? Elizabeth Holmes. Is that the one from Theranos? You got Sam Bankman-Fried, and you got some other crazy people on the cover of Forbes. It's all bullshit, Oshri. It's all bullshit.
It is all
fucking
BS.
Take it and say, hey, thank you, LinkedIn. Thank you, Mr. Microsoft.
I did, but I'm not contributing anymore out for it. It makes no sense.
Hand it off. I'll take it.
All right, sir. William.
Thank you so much. I had a good time too. One. You're a fun guy to talk to.
Anytime. Let's rip on some tech and next time.
Love it. Can't wait.
But at least I learned something new. So, there's a new language, OCaml.
Yes, sir.
All right.